That's exactly why Dallas, picked him up. But from a player's perspective, I'm telling you, you guys got the right guy. You guys got a guy that cares and a guy that's going to fight with everything he has to get things done no matter what.
Y'all remember as kids we used to see all those fancy commercials of all the new toys coming out around Christmas, and you knew you weren't going to get them, but just looking at the commercials just seemed like the toys were a lot of fun. So you imagine yourself playing with those toys and all the games you would play. We're going to treat NFL free agency and the rumors surrounding the free agency a lot like that with the Dallas Cowboys, because we know Stephen Jones' cheap ass is the equivalent of the dad off of Everybody Hates Chris, and he ain't about to get us a damn thing except for some coupon warriors. Let's get right into it, as the Cowboys are reportedly connected, rumors, to some players on the free agency market, and actually one of them makes a ton of sense and could be a really good fit for the Dallas Cowboys, and I could honestly see them making this move because it would be right up Stephen Jones' alley, but it would be a move that could benefit the team. The Cowboys are also linked to some Pro Bowl receivers that we're going to take a quick look at, but again, remember, we window shopping, y'all. We window shopping. We're going to play a game all summer. Let's take a look at all the people linked to the Cowboys and say yay or nay whether or not we will want these guys. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content all throughout the offseason. I promise you, I got some super exciting stuff coming up, including some special guests that's going to be making some appearances on the platform, so be sure to stick around. Let's get right into it, but first, a word from our sponsors. Be sure to check out BetUS, America's favorite sports book. You can bet on all of your favorite sporting events, including the NFL Draft, and who's going to be taken #1 overall, with the current odds-on favorite being Cam Ward. Be sure to check out BetUS and use promo code YouTube150 to get 150% back on your first-time deposit bonus, up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. Please remember to only bet if you can afford to bet. If you're behind on your rent or something, you probably shouldn't be doing this. But let's get back into today's show. The first free agent that the Cowboys are reportedly linked to is offensive lineman Will Hernandez, former Arizona Cardinal, which is someone that worked under Clayton Adams. Now, Will Hernandez is a very, very interesting name to be floated for the Dallas Cowboys, specifically for the reason that, honestly, this could be one of the very few moves the Cowboys actually do make in the offseason. And I think that going and trying to fix their offensive line via the free agency market is honestly probably the best way to get that offensive line back on track the quickest way possible. And what better way to do that than go get a guy that's been working in that same exact scheme that Clayton Adams is going to bring to Dallas? What better way than to get a guy that's actually been working in that scheme for the past 3 seasons? Will Hernandez did, however, suffer an ACL injury in 2024. So even though he could be a very valid option to replace Zach Martin, especially if the Cowboys decide to let Zach Martin walk in this offseason, he is coming off that injury. So it could be kind of a Terrence Steele situation where the first year back, a guy kind of see if he could trust his body. The mental aspect still has to be kind of solidified there. So I'm not really sure about an offensive lineman coming off an ACL injury. That's one of the reasons why I don't like one of the guys in the draft, Ohio State lineman. That's one of the reasons I don't like one of those guys. So Will Hernandez, though, because of the ACL injury, honestly puts himself directly square in the crosshairs of cheap ass Stephen Jones, man. So, because he come off that injury, that's going to make his value come down quite a bit, and teams may not be as willing to take chances on him, and he may be wanting to go somewhere where he's familiar with what he's going to be asked to do, and he'll know already if he can do it or not, right? So maybe the fact that we have a Clayton Adams here already is going to breed that familiarity, and we will get a new offensive lineman into Dallas, and one that could honestly upgrade our offensive line as soon as next season. So Will Hernandez being able to step in and play that guard position, I think could help the Cowboys, but again, that may be a situation where, do you want to trust Brock Hoffman instead? I think it really depends on how much money you're still going to have to pay a Will Hernandez to come to Dallas. So very interesting right there. Will Hernandez was selected number 34 overall by the New York Giants in 2018 draft. So he is one of those guys that's like a highly touted type of talent. And he kind of found his way under Clayton Adams in Arizona. But again, that injury kind of makes things a little murky. Now, the next guy that's being linked to the Dallas Cowboys and is being just kind of talked about, floated in the atmosphere as someone who could come to the Dallas Cowboys and potentially be a quote-unquote, as you can see, gift for the Dallas Cowboys, is Tyler Lockett. Now, this one is very interesting, and I want to talk about this one because I actually disagree. I think that the Cowboys the receiver position, the running back position, their skill positions on offense. To me, rookies can make the quickest impacts in the NFL, the best impacts in the NFL from those skill positions. Receivers, running backs, they can hit the ground running and actually be an effective player in that first season. I think that position is where you load up with some younger players, some blue chip talented players, some round 1, round 2, round 3 type guys, and you roll with those type of guys. And if you were to go into free agency to supplement your wide receiver room, then I think that you have to make a move for a slightly younger guy that lines up with the timeline of the rest of the players on this team. You need a receiver that's going into his prime, that's not past his prime. In that case, keep Brandon Cooks. If you're going to bring a Tyler Lockett in here, and the reason Tyler Lockett is being talked about is because he is looked at as being a salary cut for the Seattle Seahawks. So he could potentially end up coming to the Dallas Cowboys, especially with the familiarity between he and Brian Schottenheimer. He did play under Brian Schottenheimer in Seattle, so there's the familiarity there. He topped 1,000 yards in Seattle when Schottenheimer was his offensive coordinator. So again, that's a situation where a player knows a coach, could come here because of that comfortability aspect. But the problem with Tyler Lockett is he's coming off of probably one of his worst seasons as a pro. He hauled in 44 passes for 552 yards, but only 126 of those yards came after the catch. Additionally, Lockett has generated more yak than expected on just 27.9% of his receptions, the second lowest rate among all wide receivers with at least 20 catches. Okay, so Lockett has left yards on the field, generating the fewest yak over expected among all wide receivers. So Tyler Lockett had, again, one of his worst seasons as a Seattle Seahawk, and even his deep routes, which was honestly the best aspect of Tyler Lockett's game, his ability to catch that deep ball. His deep routes only accounted for 13.1% of Tyler Lockett's total routes this season, which was his lowest rate in a season since 2016, y'all. So that should let you know exactly how far he's kind of fallen. And again, this is a guy, it's not like he had an incredibly productive season last year or anything. So I'm not sure if a Tyler Lockett is the move for the Cowboys. Again, I think I would prefer them to kind of go towards a youth movement, because he honestly has given you similar production as a Brandon Cooks. If you're going to do this, you might as well keep a Brandon Cooks. If you bring Tyler Lockett in instead, that's just simply because Brian Schottenheimer's more comfortable with Tyler Lockett as a wide receiver, and maybe he has an idea of what he would want to do with Tyler Lockett. So maybe that's a scheme fit type of thing right there, but I'm not really sure about Tyler Lockett. But what I can tell you for sure, man, is I'm not a fan of this one right here. You can keep Stefon Diggs in H-Town. Best of luck to him on his career. I'm sure he's a great guy. Seems like a funny character. Nothing personal against Stefon Diggs at all. Again, older wide receiver coming off of injury. Absolutely not. I don't want to see any of these type of guys linked to the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Kupp is probably about the oldest I would try as far as like any of these big name receivers. Cooper Kupp is probably about the oldest I would go, and that's just because he's still in his late 20s and not creeping up on 30 or past his 30s, right? So not a fan of the Stefon Diggs rumors either. But as far as the three rumors pictured here today, I think Will Hernandez is probably the one that's the most realistic, and probably the one that Stephen Jones and the Cowboys would have the salary cap available to do, or the salary cap that he wants to spend to do with, right? Will Hernandez, very interesting name to keep an eye on throughout this offseason. I do potentially think he could be a Dallas Cowboy come this time next year. But either way, let me know what you think down in the comments below, how you feeling, what you're thinking, and I'll see you on the next one. How about them Cowboys?
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.